Good morning and welcome to Rosebud Homestead, where today we are having a rainy day. Our first rain in weeks and weeks and weeks. It is just absolutely fabulous. The skies are dark gray outside, and the other day we had a rain. It was about 17 drops and lasted about 4 seconds. And that's the type of rain we've been getting off and on. But this one has already lasted for several hours through the night. And it is a very gentle rain. And so we're just absolutely thrilled that we are getting some precipitation. Today we're going to be thinking more deeply about our food storage. And that has really been on our minds a lot lately. We just feel that there are quite a few things that we need to do to really improve what we have stored, and in thinking about more seriously what we will do in the event that prices are so high that we can not only not afford to buy groceries like we once used to, but we will also have to revert to using what we already have stored, and even perhaps doing a lot more off-grid cooking, depending on how fast our electric bill begins to rocket, as it already has started. So we're quite concerned about these times that we are living in. These are very uncertain times, and it is a little bit difficult to know which way to go in order to be prepared. And as we have talked a lot on this channel, it is not as important to figure out exactly what is going to happen to us as it is to be prepared for a range of possibilities using redundancies. So today we're going to focus on a food that is foundational to us living off-grid if necessary, and that is Mirepoix. It's a French word, and I've used it before, talked about it before, but it is a foundational collection of 3 foods that form the basis for so many soups and stews and cooking that we do. And it will be very familiar to you. It is composed of onions, celery, and carrots. And those 3 vegetables are diced, and then generally they are the first thing that you add to a cooking pot with a little bit of butter or oil, and saute those, and it just provides such a delicious, solid foundation for anything else that we're going to add. Now we're going to do this 2 ways. I want a supply of Mirepoix in the freezer. So all I have to do is go out and open up one of our bins and pull out a little baggie of the Mirepoix and bring it in. The other way that I want to have it stored is freeze-dried. And I do believe that you could also dehydrate this. I'm going to be dehydrating a small amount so that we can test this out. However, other vegetables that I have dehydrated, like corn and string beans and things like that, have been so rock hard that it is almost impossible to get them to rehydrate. So we're going to do at least 2 solid things in one experiment with a little bit of dehydrating. I want to tell you that I did find a 24-pound case of frozen Mirepoix available that I could order through the restaurant store. And I just thought, do I really want 24 pounds of Mirepoix? That would take us, that's about a 5-year supply for us. And also with the expense of having somebody else process. Now, I'm not against efficiency of having somebody else do the peeling and the chopping. I have done that a lot. But with this Mirepoix, I just felt like what I wanted to do was I wanted to do it myself. And so I'm going to be doing all of the peeling and washing and scrubbing and chopping. And then we will come back. That's probably going to take me, it'll take at least an hour, maybe a little bit more. So I'm going to go ahead and get started, and we'll bring you back when we're ready to show you what comes next.
So how are you doing this morning? I see you've got your goggles on.
Yes.
You're going to go flying today?
Yes, I do. Remember that video we did on caramelized onions?
Yeah, that's quite a while
You
ago.
bought these goggles for me to do that, and that was the only solution to keep me from crying. So I'm working away at the onions. I still have a ways to go, but so far so good, except it keeps clouding up. It fogs up because of the humidity with the rain today. So I have to every once in a while go in the other room and let it defog. So onions are coming. Well, I am half finished with the vegetables. I've done half the carrots, half the celery, and half the onions. Now, the celery was the easiest. The onions were next, and the carrots were a pain. So I don't know if I'll ever do this again, but I'll have at least a 2-year supply of Mirepoix, so I may not have to. The thing that made the carrots a little bit more difficult was that I diced them instead of grating them. And the reason being is because I want all of the pieces of the vegetables to be about the same so that they will cook about the same. Now, the next thing that needs to happen is we need to mix the Mirepoix. This bowl is much bigger than I actually need, but it's my only large bowl left. So the recipe for Mirepoix is 1 part carrots, 1 part celery, and 2 parts of onion. And then we'll just mix it around like this. So the mixture looks like this. So I'm going to do a little bit of the mixing together. The reason that I stopped halfway through dicing up the vegetables was that I need to get sort of a feel for how many of which vegetables I'm going to need. So I'm going to go ahead and quickly mix the Mirepoix, and then we'll be right back. Well, this is what we have, so I did need this big bowl afterward. It looks beautiful, it's great, they're all about the same size. Now here's what I have left. I used the carrots and the onions, turned out exactly even. But I probably have about 3 cups, at least 3 cups, maybe 4 cups of the celery. So that gives me an idea of how much I need to do for the last half. So I'm going to set these aside. And what we're going to do now is I have room for 1 more bin in the vegetable section of our freezer organization. I'm going to package this up in 2-cup amounts, which is about what I would use for any recipe. And I'm going to load up that 1 bin with as much of these, with as many of these packets as I can, and then all of the remainder will be freeze dried. So I'll bring you back when I've got all of these filled. I have the outside of the bin labeled Mirepoix, and on the inside we have 10 bags, 10 little packs of Mirepoix. 11. Yep, it's 11. So that is fantastic. That will last us a really long time. I'll get them out to the freezer in just a moment. And then we have this much left, which is still quite a bit. So I am going to put about 1 heaping cup out here on our dehydrating tray. And we'll dehydrate that. I'm going to start it at about 160, and then we'll see how long this takes, and I'll report back. And next I want to see how many of our freeze dryer trays this remainder will fill, because I don't think I want to do any more than just 1 freezer full. So I probably will not be using all of the vegetables that we brought home from the store. So to fill the other 2 trays, I will only need to do about 10 cups of the mixture, and then we will have a freezer full. So I'm going to set these aside for now and get busy on dicing up the other half of the veggies. And then I think, since you've seen me put things in the freeze dryer before, I think what we are going to do is come back after everything is done, and we will show you the results, the yield of everything that we did. So we will see you probably in a couple of days. So here we are back 2 days later. It took the freeze dryer right at 30 hours. Look at the results. They're just absolutely beautiful, very nice and dry, airy. The thing that I'm concerned about is that every time I process carrots, either in the dehydrator or in the freeze dryer, they ultimately turn white. And I know several of you have had the same thing, and I don't have a solution on that. So even if these carrots do turn white, I will still use this as Mirepoix. Now here is our dehydrated Mirepoix. I'm going to put some of it in this little bowl. And so it also is very beautiful, and it is hard as a rock. So what I'm going to do is put a little hot water and we'll see if we can rehydrate it while we're packaging up these. Now, the freeze-dried reconstitutes just in a heartbeat, but it floats because it's so airy, so we'll let both of these soak. Now let's see, I'm going to put this jar by the blue so I can remember which is which. And we're going to get started on jarring these up. So I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of this jarring up off camera, and we will come back when it's done and we will test the rehydration to see where we are. Well, here we are. This is our complete yield. I have 4 quarts right here and a 5th quart. And this one, I'm just going to put the lid on without vacuum sealing because I'm going to keep it just right here in our cupboard. These 2 have been vacuum sealed. And then we have our 11 packets of frozen. So this is just fantastic. We have probably a 2 years supply easy right here. So the next thing that we're going to do after I put these back in the freezer is we're going to come back and I'm going to show you how to use Mirepoix. And we're going to make a quick soup for our lunch. So we will be right back. So I have some ghee melting in this cast iron saucepan. This is a 3-quart saucepan. It's going to be just exactly right. Now we're going to take a look at how well our 2 samples have rehydrated. The freeze-dried, notice that freeze-dried veggies maintain their size and shape. The dehydrated are a little bit collapsed, but the taste is there. Now, I've tasted both of them. These are completely done, and the celery and the onions, well, the onions are completely done here. The celery still has a little bit of a crunch, but the carrots, the centers are still hard. But we're going to use them anyway because we can. And so I'm going to drain the water, and this is how you use Mirepoix. And we're just using a little bit of Mirepoix today, not a whole lot. So you saute the Mirepoix, and that blends the flavors. And you do it just for 5 minutes, just like you would if the vegetables were fresh. Now, one of the things that I have been noticing in recipes that I've been looking up is that the recipe will not say Mirepoix, not 1 cup of Mirepoix. Rather, it will say 3 carrots and 3 stalks of celery and a medium onion chopped. Well, bingo, that should trigger all of us to say, oh, well, that's Mirepoix. And then it says to saute these vegetables, and that this sauteing brings out the flavor and establishes the Mirepoix as the foundation for the recipe. So it doesn't really matter if the recipe says Mirepoix or identifies the ingredients separately. I will be using my Mirepoix for any recipe that calls for those three things. Now, I'm not being fancy about this soup at all. I have some turkey broth that it looks like we did it a year ago, coming up in November. So this is turkey broth. I don't have any chicken broth right now, but I have 5 chicken carcasses in the freezer, so I'll be doing a big batch of chicken broth here really soon to replenish my supplies. And so now we have a lovely base for a soup. So what else am I going to add here? Well, the reason that I really love having Mirepoix on hand is that if things get really, really tough and we run out of a lot of our food storage ingredients, so long as we have Mirepoix and either bouillon or bouillon cubes or chicken stock or beef stock, any kind of stock in our food storage, we can still make a lovely, lovely soup. Now, I got out a packet of our chicken chunks. Now, I don't need all of these chicken chunks for this soup. We're going to sort of make a chicken noodle soup because I have all of the ingredients without having to go to the store. And it doesn't take a lot of protein added to have a good result. So I'm just going to chop this a little bit more. I defrosted it in the refrigerator overnight. Some of it is still a little bit frozen, but not for long. So I'm going to put that in. And I'm going to bring that to a boil, and we'll be back, and then we're going to add a handful of pasta. You could use any pasta, and add some salt and pepper and maybe a little bit of Italian seasoning, and then we will see what we have. So we'll be back soon. This took about 10 minutes, and look how rich and robust this soup looks. I just put in 1 handful of the egg noodles, and the turkey broth, of course, gives us that rich color brown. So I'm just going to taste a little bit. I want to be sure that I get, I'm going to try to, I think there's a carrot from the dehydrating. I'll want to taste that just to see what it, if we were more successful. And I don't need that much chicken, so I'm going to put some back. There, that's good. Okay, so here's, I think, 1 of each kind of celery. The dehydrated celery was a little harder. It's still just fine. Dehydrated carrot, all the way soft. Fantastic. The soup itself, that soup is great. Quick and easy. If you have Mirepoix on hand, I would not hesitate to even serve that soup for guests if we had guests. So we'll be finishing that off with our lunch today. And that's how easy it is to use Mirepoix when you have it all diced and sliced and preserved. So I hope you try Mirepoix, and I hope that you can also preserve some, whatever way that you can, so we can really have all of the ingredients that we need at our fingertips in our food storage for these very uncertain times in which we are living. So thank you so much for being with us, and we will see you again very soon for more videos.